As we've heard, and we know, the past few years have certainly moved Europe into a new security paradigm. I remember being at the Munich Security Conference in February of 2022, and to be honest with you, the looks on people's faces, it was as though there was a giant cloud just off in the distance, and people were hoping the storm would pass. As we know, it didn't, and there are now even more challenges on the horizon, both for transatlantic relations and within Europe and European politics itself. So we're going to turn now to talk a bit more specifically about security and start with a dive into one of the countries that has a lot on the line and a lot of skin in the game, and literally a 270-kilometer border with Russia. Please welcome Lithuania's Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs and former Ambassador to the United States, Audra Plepytė. Come on up. Thanks for coming.
Thank
you.
I
think, oh great, then from one mic to the other, it's perfect. Thanks for being here. And by the way, I know that in Lithuanian, my last name is actually pronounced Maciulis, but that's not the way they said it in Cleveland, Ohio when I grew up, so I'm stuck with what I got. So I'm gonna ask you about some of the specific recent developments, but I wanna start on a broad question. I don't know if you knew this, I didn't, but there's a Reddit chat devoted to Lithuanian proverbs. There's really like something for everyone there. And I found one that I thought, whether it is or not, you'll tell me, a big thing in Lithuania, but sort of summarizes the past few decades and in terms of Lithuanian foreign policy and relations with Russia, which is, don't escape the wolf only to be caught by the bear, is the way that it, oh good, you're nodding, I guess I got that one right.
Yes.
So anyway, how has that mentality and Lithuania's own situation since 1990 informed how your nation has approached this conflict in Ukraine?
think all our experience. I mean, and you grow in Cleveland, so you know Lithuanian community in the United States, how much they were fighting for the Lithuanian independence during the occupation. So our, I would say, centuries of history proved, and living in that region, next to her, that you have to be strong. If you want to survive, that you have to be strong and to be ready to fight. So, and that's why I can say now recent war in Ukraine, recent Russian aggression in Ukraine as well, what we reacted, and I mean reacted Lithuania, the government supported, but each person in Lithuania, that you have to fight. And you have to fight and help those who fight on the right side of the history, for their freedoms and for that. So I think we see now the war in Ukraine, that a must for the whole Europe, for the whole world, and transatlantic community, and not, or even further. I mean, we do remember how everyone, I mean, from Japan, Australia to Canada and US supported, and Europe, of course, Ukraine in the beginning of 2022, or they continue something. So if you want war, and we want to have about our security paradigm, what you're mentioning, we have to support that, and that's our, I mean, Russia acknowledges already that they're fighting Western in Ukraine. Ukraine knows that they're fighting for the Western our values and our freedom. So, and we have to support that, and we do that.
I'm curious what your thoughts. So we spoke to Estonia's Kaja Kallas a couple of years ago, earlier in the conflict, and she very candidly made the point that the Baltics and those countries that are still have a couple of generations that remember Soviet occupation, have a very different approach to this than some of the Western countries. Do you think that's true? And have you felt enough support from other European countries?
Yes and no, probably. I think what I started as well, I mean, the response from the Europe or from transatlantic community was very good. We were united, fast, incredible, I mean, in that sense. So, and with the sanctions, with the military, we can say that it was not fast enough, to be very frank, and a bit lagging behind, but we were united, and we remain united. I think Russia was shocked when the first sanction came in the weeks, and everybody there was no question, what is that? Now I think everybody as well understands that that was the shift. It's not short-term war or something, that it would be long-term already for us change, that we have to, Europe has to invest in the security, in our borders, and now yesterday we spoke as well, and on the recent drones flying to Poland, I think it was another also shift, how close this war moved to our borders as well. That's not only Ukraine as well. So I think in that sense, everybody understands, but with the time, of course, our region, the countries which border Russia and faces not only misinformation, disinformation, some hybrid threats, for instance, in Baltic Sea already cutting the cables and the sea cables, but also now drones even flying, we will always see that. Some further countries maybe would like to have peace, would be lasting and going, but I think it's already the structural shift in Europe's mind has been there. So we have to maintain that and to seize this opportunity.
Before, I will ask you about Poland, of course, and the drones, but let's stay on a note that you just mentioned. Give people a sense, who may not know, specific hybrid examples of aggression from Russia that your own country has experienced over the past decade.
Probably everybody knows all the cyber attacks. Probably the first one which shocked the world was in Estonia already some decades ago.
Yeah.
But then after that, I think we got even used to that, and we faced, all of us, even the United States as well, some years ago or was. So we learned that. So we counter that, but it still remains. So all the cooperation in Europe, in transatlantic community that started on that. Disinformation, misinformation as well. How many percentage of population in Western countries think that this war in Ukraine was started by Ukrainians, or because that's also this disinformation, which is that. Now the current attempts or shadow fleet or some fleet in the Baltic Sea cutting the cables by that's which connect Nordic Baltic states as well. So, and the current drones flying and crossing NATO eastern flank. So that is constant, and so the realization is there. I think knowledge is there. Acceptance and recognition that had happened is already there. Do we respond fast enough? Do we respond fully? That's another question. So I think there is lots to be done. Well, and what is also showed yesterday, that we don't have time. We tend to think, oh, we'll be in 5 years, in decades, what we had this 3.5 or 5% for our GDP to defense, which were agreed in the NATO.
Which, by the way, has been consistently more than the 2% target.
Yeah, for us, yeah. But that's, we are talking about 2030, 2035. The drones already coming now to our territory, so NATO territory. So we have to act now. So we don't have luxury of waiting and preparing.
Well, so you say the awareness is there, but sometimes the response is not fast enough or enough. How do you feel about the response to the drone incursion and how NATO reacted? Talking about Poland, of course.
Poland, yeah. It was different than before. Of course, it's different because the 19 or even more drones crossed the NATO line. There were 4 countries now involved in countering that. The Polish, Italian, Dutch, and German as well, or planes, or Patriot system as well. So the reaction was there. But it's also the 4 drones were shot out of 19. It's not enough. That only shows that NATO lacks capabilities. The Ukrainian percentage of countering drones, they face them hundreds of thousands a night, every night, about more than 90% sometimes. And we don't. We talk about, which is very important, I don't deny, or brigades and divisions, very sophisticated weapons, but we also have to see that we have to change our defense capabilities.
Well, so if you're saying that, in a sense, this moment exposed a bit of a weakness for NATO, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, I mean, you're saying it wasn't enough. I mean, so then what does it take? And you're also saying it's urgent. We know there isn't time. We don't have years. So what would then be the proposal to get to the right place quickly? And what do you think it's going to require from other countries?
It's many. Once there were some agreements already made on border defense within the NATO or EU. We have to implement them faster. We need more capabilities. Even yesterday, the President von der Leyen also mentioned already in her speech the same day was also emphasized that. That also shows that the awareness is there.
By the way, the
State of the Union. And by the way, she visited like last week or 10 days ago, all the border countries, and the visit was good. So realizing is there. So we have to build border wall, drone wall. What is that? To look for the new capabilities, to use all the EU mechanisms, SAFE or others, but also to enhance our defense capabilities. That's where I know it also takes time. There are so many talks from the beginning of 2022 that West lacks ammunition, capabilities, how many batteries. All the sophisticated systems sometimes take time to develop, we do understand. But some drones, as Ukrainians proved, they were waging the bloodiest war in this century in Europe, and they had capabilities, well, to develop the anti-drone system. They changed during this time, 3 years of this current war. The war has changed dramatically. Russia developed their own drone capabilities. The last time, a couple of days ago, when the government office in Kiev was struck by the drone, the Ukrainians checked. There are so many parts of US or European origin was there. So we have to also take examples of Ukrainians to develop our anti-drone capabilities, new capabilities completely, but we also have to fight Russia and to give pressure, continue with sanctions or tariffs, even fight in some extent with our companies or something, because sometimes through the third countries selling the products which ends up in Russia in do so.
With only a couple minutes left, I do want to ask you, because obviously we haven't talked yet about the United States directly. Today is the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, and that happens to, by the way, I'm sure all of you know this, be the only time that Article 5 was enacted.
Exactly.
If Article 5 needed to be enacted for another NATO country right now, maybe even Lithuania, are you confident that the US would stand up and come to help?
Yes.
And how are you viewing this administration's approach? You were the ambassador through the Biden years, but then also for the first 6 months of Trump's administration. What has been your impression thus far, now that we're in September, and you've seen his approach, you saw his meeting in Alaska with Vladimir Putin? Are you confident that the US can be an honest broker throughout this?
I can see differently. We spoke, Jan, I think Bremer mentioned us that, or some others sometimes say that Europe doesn't have a leader, or who would lead that transformation. I think in some extent, paradoxically, President Trump became that leader, which pushing Europe to perform and take more responsibilities. There are some shifts as well. We do agree that, that's world is not the same as it used to be 20 years ago. United States, in many cases, maybe it's not in the lead with gathering countries. But what they did, I think, also pushed in Europe to realize that it has to change. And I think this realization is there.
So this is a good thing in a
And
way.
that is a good thing.
Yeah.
For Europe to take more responsibility and to say, just I think we are too still optimistic, thinking that we have too much time. We have to be more faster and deliver sooner. So.
Audra,
As we do, yes.
Yes.
Lithuania or other Baltics, we already
Yeah, I mean,
about
so-
talking up 4 or 5. We have good examples, so it's not they're talking about the future.
Yes, and do you hope that then, of course, that the other allies are learning from Lithuania's example?
As well as some other, Poland as well, so
Yeah.
from Poland and others, yeah. So
Audra,
think in good
Plepytė,
times,
thank
yeah.
you so much. This was great. Thank you for coming and being a part of
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah.